When Trayvon Martin was first shot, I said this could have been my son. Another way of saying that is Trayvon Martin could have been me 35 years ago. This is a quote stated by Barack Obama after the death of Trayvon Martin, a 17-year-old who was shot and killed by George Zimmerman, which sparked attention to racial injustice going on with the case. I don't think it's moving on. When Obama was the presidency, he focused on bringing attention not just on economic and political factors, but also racial factors in the U.S. that we still endure today. This speech took place on July 19, 2023, at the press secretary briefing room. It took place after the case of Trayvon Martin had been going around and gaining attention and concern. Some background on the case. The murder took place on February 26, 2012 in Sanford, Florida. Trayvon Martin, which is the guy on the left, was 17 and he was visiting family in a gated community. As he was walking around, that's George Zimmerman, who is 28, and he was like the gated community watch member of the neighborhood. And Martin felt like intimidated by him, so he started attacking him. And then Zimmerman, out of self-defense, shot him with a pistol that he had a right to have. What was the purpose of the speech? The purpose is just Obama spoke on the issue because it was gaining a lot of attention, and he wanted to understand how people would have felt and how to control the situation before it got too out of hand and people handled the case with violence and rioting instead of peaceful protesting. The significance then, it brought peace to people and it helped them understand both views of the case, Zimmerman and Martin's, and how they both handled the situation and how it could have been interpreted and handled differently. Now, Obama helped us how to address these type of cases and how to come along them and how to educate ourselves and to understand every outcome of every situation. Here's just a little.
So what is ClickUp? ClickUp is an all-in-one productivity software where you can manage everything and anything.
When Trayvon Martin was first shot, I said that this could have been my son. Another way of saying that is Trayvon Martin could have been me 35 years ago. And when you think about why, in the African American community at least, there's a lot of pain around what happened here. I think it's important to recognize that the African American community is looking at this issue through a set of experiences and a history that that doesn't go away. You know, there are very few African American men in this country who haven't had the experience of being followed when they were shopping in a department store. That includes me. There are very, very few African American men who haven't had the experience of walking across the street and hearing the locks click on the doors of cars. That happens to me, at least before I was a senator. There are very few African Americans who haven't had the experience of getting on an elevator and a woman clutching her purse nervously and holding her breath until she had a chance to get off.
I like that short clip because Obama spoke on problems in the past that we had with African Americans and just their sad past, and he found a way to relate it back to our times now, and he also used a way to make us feel sympathetic for African Americans today as they have to be put in uncomfortable situations that some of us don't understand. Some rhetorical devices he used were hypophora. How do we learn some lessons from this and move in a positive direction? There have been demonstrations and vigils and protests, and some of that stuff is just going to have to work its way through as long as it remains unviolent. He asks the audience a question. Yes, he asks the audience a question and then he shortly answers it after. This way he leaves us wondering a little bit, but he still wants us to give us a clear answer on how we could do better and how we could understand the situation a lot better. The next is Sinentia. And then finally, I think it's going to be important for us all to do some soul searching. He says a witty saying to sum up some of the preceding material. He was stating that to move on in a positive direction, we have to do just some soul searching and to understand the situation in a more humane way and in a more human to human way rather than lawfully or caring too much about the government stuff. And then antithesis. I don't want us to lose sight that things are getting better. Each successive generation seems to be making progress in changing attitudes when it comes to race. It doesn't mean we're in a post-racial society. It doesn't mean that racism is eliminated. He uses antithesis as, again, to balance two contrasting ideas. He reassures all generations that we've both made efforts, and he validates how we both, again, made efforts. And then ethos, pathos, and logos. He uses ethos by understanding the family. He wears good attire, and he understands the family, and he shows that he's also grieving their loss and trying to understand what they're going through as much as he can. Some pathos, he also makes the audience feel a sort of sympathy to African Americans, again, what they've been put through and what they're still going through. And then logos, he speaks about some statistics in the world, and I didn't show you guys the clip, but in part of the speech, he spoke about how it is not rare for Trayvon Martin, like an African American teenager, to be shot in a neighborhood. It's not rare, and he spoke about that, and he brought us statistics to prove his point. Why will it endure? So we focused on bringing attention to political and racial and the problems in the U.S. that we still endure, and he taught us to protest peacefully and how if we handle it with nonviolence, more change will be made instead of if we handle it with violence and just rioting. So in this speech, Barack Obama focused on bringing attention to political and racial factors in the U.S. that we still endure today. Thank you for listening to my speech.